Hey, thank you, Luana, and for doing all the great work that you do and for supporting us, and the National Operations Center of Excellence for supporting us. We really appreciate it. But more importantly, want to thank everyone else for joining us today. For those of you that don't know me, Paul Joden, Federal Highway Office of Operations Traffic Incident Management Team, representing my teammates, Jim Ostrich and Joe Tebow, both of which cannot be here today. Joe is on his way back from the Iowa TIM conference where he participated. And Jim is dealing with some leave. He has to take off for personal issues. So anyway, that's our disclaimer. I don't know why we have it there, except that the powers that be tell us we need to have it there. So by the way, you can go to the next slide. By the way, it's always so awesome to see so many old friends and some new friends joining us, different names. I always get excited seeing people from all corners of the country participating. That's awesome. But before I get started, back to that poll, you don't need to bring it up. But, as you just saw, the transportation participation is much higher than the other disciplines. So, yeah. So is there any way we can get those numbers up, get those towing, recovery, public works, law enforcement, fire, EMS? Can you share the Talking TIM webinars? I know every webinar might not be of interest to folks, but certainly some of the topics are of interest, and we just would like to see some more of the other disciplines participating. I think it would be awesome if we could get more fire and law enforcement especially. So with that, today's lineup today, I'm going to give you an update in a few minutes. We're also going to talk about major events, right? We don't talk about that all that often. We talk about a lot of things related to TIM, but not, we haven't, I don't know that we've done a major closure. Maybe we've done 1 or 2 topics over the 3+ years that we've been doing Talking TIM. But today we're going to hear from Michael Welch, Director of Transportation Operations, and Brian White from the TMC manager at the Tennessee Department of Transportation about the I-40 Mississippi Bridge closure, which was interesting. And then Dan Fowley, who's a Bureau of Operations Director at PennDOT, is going to talk about I-95 bridge collapse response and coordination in Pennsylvania. So sort of a different slant to Talking TIM this month, but we thought both topics deserve some time as we plan our traffic incident management programs throughout the country. So we wanted to give you an update on EDC, that Everyday Counts at 7, Next Generation TIM, Technology for Saving Lives is the name of it. Basically, most of the country, 44 states are participating in, 43 states are participating in one form or another. So, we are very excited to start pushing some of the technologies that we'll be pushing throughout the country. And you'll be here. Many of you have already heard from us, but you'll be hearing more about this as we go forward. And every month we try to focus on a EDC topic, which is, I think, on the next slide. No, it isn't on the next slide. It fooled me. But one thing I wanted to, but we did want to make sure we talk to you about some funding opportunities. We always hear about funding. So with the Everyday Counts program, there is a they call stick grant. So it's $100,000 per state per year. Requires a 20% match from the states, but it's easy money. It's a 1 or 2 page application. A lot of times grants can be lengthy applications for grants, but this is a very seamless, very easy. They're willing to give the money out. The stick the stick committee in each state. Each state has a committee that votes on it. Most of them are pretty easy. If you have something you want to spend it on that's TIM related, almost anything TIM related qualifies, because we were participating in EDC 6 and 7. So see some of the ideas that are there on the right, and I think the next slide might show more projects that were approved for the stick funding. Yeah, so these are some, I love the first one. The first one is the most recent, smart road safety devices for rural first responders. So the state of Maine actually went out and put in a grant, small grant, only 20,000. So you don't have to request all 100,000 from your stick committee in your particular state, but they asked for $20,000 so they can give smart devices, safety devices, to some rural responders. They, there's a little bit of a program associated with it, but I mean, that's just a fantastic use. Not only are they using the innovative safety devices, innovation as part of EDC, but they're also reaching the rural community, which is awesome. I'm not going to read that list to you, but I'll give it a second, and you can see the various ways that the stick money has been used in recent years. So this past year, the fiscal year that's ending, it's too late to put in for stick funding for this fiscal year, but that fiscal year starts October 1st, which is next week. So be the first one in. Maybe you'll be the first one to get approved for some idea that you might have for stick money usage. Next slide, please. So if you're from one of these states, you left money on the table. We don't like leaving money on the table, because $100,000 for TIM activities can go a long way, right? I mean, we know that. So don't be one of those states that leaves money on the table. So push your stick committee. I'm sure you have something you could use, $20, $30, $50, $100,000 on. So just, want to make sure we don't leave money on the table. And that's why I'm telling you that now. So the next funding opportunity, I think, is on the next slide. There's a whole much larger, more complicated program called the A Demo program. It basically demonstrating when funds are needed to get to the next level. It's up to $1 million. It doesn't have to be $1 million, but it's what would help, especially with innovation. Every day counts is about innovation, to get states to do a little bit more of a pilot, or to start the program, or something along those lines. So that they have funds. That the program was stopped for a while. It had stopped for a few years, but the money was still there. But there was some, I don't know, some political thing. Something was going on. I don't even know why. But now it's up and running, alive and well. And they'll be issuing, I forget what the money is, but there's millions of dollars that they'll be providing. And you would go to your state DOT. They would know, your stick coordinator, they would know how to put in an aid demonstration grant. Actually, it would be the Federal Highway Administration Division Office that could provide more information on that. Or you can also go on the website, the Everyday Counts website, aid grant demo program, and you can see more information. Another one is fast running out. But next year there'll be a whole nother NOFO, notice of funding opportunities, but wanted to put it on everyone's radar screen. Again, this came out of the big legislation, the bill, and a couple of it's not specifically called out in like the first page of the NOFO, but it did have some use cases that were tied to us, increase worker safety and reduce crashes and traffic incidents. So that's right down our alley, right? Some big money there, and And also it listed emergency vehicles and other public fleets through single priority. That's part of it, EDC 7. So hey, just take advantage of these grant opportunities. We wanted to get as much money for TIM as possible, and that's why we're sharing it with you today. So the technologies for the everyday counts that I talked about is, the advanced warning technologies. That's sort of what we're focusing on today. At least that's what we're going to take credit for. The other technologies that we're pushing are debris removal, emergency vehicle lighting, and I always like to call it emergency vehicle lighting, smart emergency vehicle lighting, right? The latest technology. It's not just vehicle lighting. So EVP, the latest technology for emergency vehicle preemption, signal preemption. UAS has been always popular, and then the technologies for EMS. For that one, we're just trying to get closer to the EMS community with our TIM program. So I urge you all to do so. I just wanted to remind everybody, give everyone an update on the NUG. So if you recall, the National Unified Goal has been responder safety, safe, quick clearance, prompt, reliable, interoperable communication. So over the last year or so, in Talking TIM and some other forums, we had some discussions with you, the community. This isn't the world according to Federal Highway, Paul, Jim, and Joe. This is you providing input. We came up with a new unified goal. So the new unified goal is safety of responders and all road users, right? It's not just about responders, most important about responders, but we want everyone safe, right? Also, it's safe, quick clearance. We still want to get those crashes and other incidents out of there as fast as possible, safely. And then the fourth goal that was determined by you, the TIM community, was communication, coordination, and cooperation. Next slide, please. And we are back to the NUG. We are interested in hearing how folks use it. We're going to try to start using it a little more, so we all have a national goal for those of us in the TIM world. So 27 fatalities this year so far. Responders struck by. They're always painful. The good news is, the numbers are lower than they've been in recent years for responders struck by. For this time of year, compared to the last 4 years, they're at least 3 lower than last year, which was lower than previous years. So I like to think that we're making progress, that we're at least contributing. And if we save just one responder, right, we've saved a lot. We've done a lot. So everything we're doing is working, we believe. I think it's contributing to responder safety. And again, that's important for us, right? So, but it's still 27 fatalities, 27 families that had to go through the pain, and co-workers and everyone else is impacted by just one fatality. So, gonna keep working, gonna get it down to 0. Next slide, please. So just a quick run through on the training numbers. Many of you get these numbers already, so we're going to go through it a little quickly. So 671,000, 72,000, 602,000. Are trained. We've jumped up 12,650. June 19th to September 11th, and that big jump was in part to some of the training that didn't necessarily happen during that period, but was reports that we weren't receiving. We want the reports. If you know of training, or you do the training, or you coordinate the training, it's important to us to get those numbers, so we urge you to give them to us. Next slide, please. So this is the percentage map, everyone established goals, and you can see where your state is. We're trying to push it. We found it interesting that, and we're very excited. We'll call out California today, because California has just conducted a train-the-trainer session. I don't know, it was 30 or 40 trainers in there, and they're participating in another virtual train-the-trainer session. So they're gearing up. They're going to be having a big push for the training. But, there's so many states doing an awesome job. We just urge you to keep up with the training and try to make a difference on those fatality numbers. This is just a breakdown. We want to see the numbers go up, law enforcement in particular, but towing, you can all have an impact on the towers out there that don't necessarily receive the training that some of the other disciplines. So there's different ways of doing that, but we won't get into that today. Here's the numbers by state since the last report. So you can see the progress is being made per state. Training is still active, which is exciting. So we want to keep going. We want to keep those. So kudos to Connecticut and Texas, Missouri, Georgia, Alabama, and the rest of you all that are doing the training. So that's awesome. Next slide, please. Just a reminder, Crash Responder Safety Week is November 13th through 17th. There's been a very active planning process going on. The final planning call is October 11th at 3 p.m. It's all the states are invited. A lot of the times the PIO is participating. So but the big event we're having during that week is a national kickoff on November 13th at 1 p.m. You'll hear more about this. There'll be no Talking Tim that month because we're going to be making that Talking Tim that the kickoff for Crash Responder Safety Week. We expect it to be a little different and exciting. I think the first time we did it, there was over 300 people. So there's going to be some cool people presenting on it. And we urge you all to participate and share the information. So